Stand by.
How about that?
It's time to rock and roll. Welcome, everybody, to the RP Show. Pretty quiet in here on the Golden Ticket Sports Center. That's what we're broadcasting, episode number 1754 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Let's get it up. Let's get it going. Wake up. It's everybody's favorite coffee session. We got a lot to get to today. It's hour one solo with your boy RP, so you know what that means. I get to be the Larry King. Brian in Winnipeg, hello, you're on the air. We got a lot of people writing in already. We have a lot to get to. I will tell you that our guest today is coming up in hour two, Tim Hunter, the Stanley Cup champion Tim Hunter, veteran of many, many NHL games as a player and a coach. Tim Hunter will be joining us from Calgary. We got a lot to get to. The poll question today for Country Thunder pertains to Canada's game of the week because it's Wednesday, week 2 in the CFL. So let's get the comments coming in right now. 902-518-3033. I do not ask you for much, specifically to dig into your wallet, your Apple wallet, to pay for this. It's not behind a paywall. All I ask, like if you're watching on the stream, and share, and let's get her going. We're opening with the very big story. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on what went down, and I love who wrote this out of Las Vegas. Okay, this is from the Associated Press Wire. Listen to this. The Carolina-Vegas Stanley Cup Final was largely expected to be a series in which goals were at a premium, and each shift felt like a march up a well-defended hill. Yeah, that isn't this. Another 2-goal lead went the way of the landline on Tuesday night. The go-ahead shot came from a 37-year-old on his stomach in one of the great runs in Cup final history, and the winning goalie made his first start in 2 months and doesn't know if that will be his last one this postseason. Yeah, Carolina won it 5-3. I was only able to catch a glimpse of the hockey game last night because, as you know, I was broadcasting baseball. But Carolina won it 5-3. The series is tied up 2-2 going back to Raleigh. And nobody has any idea how this is going to turn out. Yes, I picked Vegas to win last night, and I may be a little by the way, we got very good news from the Vegas television station that carries this show every day. Producer Corey told me before the show. I'll let you in on what that is. It's a good thing. They like us down there. I love it. We love them. But. And trust me, just to give you a little roadmap here, the warm-up brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. We're going to get into the Babcock fallout. There's new stuff this morning. Blue Jays won last night on a tremendous outing by Dylan Cease. As I mentioned, the CFL stuff, the NBA Finals going on, and I've got a World Cup story that's going to blow your mind. Not even joking, but to the hockey game. I don't need to go back and watch the whole game. The highlights do it for me. That's all I need. As you know, just raised in the game, I know enough. Vegas played terribly. Terribly. Saw the way that they were not defending the front of their net, doing silly things that it's not the way that it reminds me of the game that they got blown out. What was it, game 2 against Anaheim? And I said they won't have another game like this since. And then they did, but it was in the Stanley Cup final last night for Vegas. So I still think they're going to come out of this thing. I said Vegas was going to win it in 6, and I still think that they will. And then I saw the clip from John Tortorella on the postgame news conference, and he said he said that they didn't make Carolina work for their goals. They allowed Carolina to score too easily. And I'm like, that's exactly what I saw. So Vegas took their eye off the ball. Tell me if you think that I'm wrong. But they made it a game. I mean, when Carolina went up 2-0, I'm sitting in the broadcast booth. The boys did put the game on streaming. The problem is they were over in the other broadcast press box, so I couldn't see it. So they're yelling the score updates to me and so forth. And again, I saw the highlights this morning. It was all I needed to see that Vegas just played poorly last night. Oh, by the way, I didn't open the text line yet, 902-518-3033. Utah Darren writes in and says, I felt that if Vegas won last night, they would end it in 5. If not, then it'll go 7. And I have no idea who wins. That's right? For sure. If Vegas is to win it in 6, which was my prediction, they'll have to win the next 2, obviously, and I think they're very capable of doing that. But if it goes to Game 7, I am not going to be surprised at all. Brian Smith, where are you at, Brian? Oh, that's silly, Brian. He says, Brian says, Vegas is paying everyone to tout them. They have the highest payroll in the NHL. Guy, there's a salary cap. I don't know. I told you the other day, we're streaming on Game Plus now. because they're saying that's where everybody's going. They're going to YouTube. So we're on the Game Plus YouTube. We're on the RP Show YouTube channel. I don't get it. I just sit here and talking to the mic. That's my job. But we have a bunch of new viewers, so I might have to nip your ass just to get you in line with how we do things around here. And silly talk is Vegas isn't paying anybody to do anything. They just win, and I don't have time for that. So that's my thoughts last night. Vegas, just like Tortorella said, letting them score too easily. And we'll see if that changes. They have the ability to do it. That's up to them. The other thing was I was stunned to see Brandon Bussey in goal for Carolina because I watched him in training camp with the Florida Panthers, and they cut him there. He stuck out to me because he was a southpaw and landed in Carolina and had a tremendous season. Pretty hard crease to earn a spot in Florida with Sergei Bobrovsky there. But good for Brandon Bussey. But he doesn't know if he's going to start the next game. I'm guessing that he will. Oh, Brian is in Las Vegas. Okay. He says he can't stand the Knights. Well, you came to the wrong show then. Tell me exactly why you don't like the Vegas Knights. That's not going to fly here with this program because we're Golden Knights backers, not just because we are on Silver State Sports every night, which is another thing. I asked producer, like yesterday's show was wild. Can we all agree it was wild? With the Hall of Fame tight end Ray Elgard on, former Utah Ute, Canadian Football League Hall of Famer. He dropped 2 F-bombs, 3 S-words. And I said to Corey, did Silver State Sports have a problem with any of that? And he's like, man, they didn't say anything. So we're not going to make a habit of it, but I've been around this perilous trade long enough to know that as long as I don't say it, we're good. Which, by the way, we're going to get into a few other things as we roll. 902-518-3033. That same Brian says, dang, I was hoping Tim Hunter would be first up. You just sit there and do the watching, and then we'll do the talking. That's how it works here through 1,754 shows, Brian, in Las Vegas. Don't get it twisted. John writes in from Winnipeg. He says, I never thought this series could go 7 games. I'm a believer now. Well, it hasn't yet. Text lines open 902-518-3033. Experience the Western Dodge difference. They bring you the text line. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. 902-518-3033. Maybe they're going on air hour 1 in Vegas, Corey. What do you think? The word that they got is they love this show because when the A's game ends with 20 minutes before the hour in the broadcast business, they just pop in 20 minutes of the RP show. We're always talking about something topical. Not always, but sometimes. Yes, I get it. Utah Darren says, I'm backing Vegas because they whooped my Mammoth. I don't get all the Vegas hate. It's because they're winning. I don't have time for a rudimentary human relations 101. Winning brings haters. If you don't have haters, you're not winning. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and
and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back. I don't know what it is, but these Wednesdays when it's just me going solo in hour one, they're fire, or as the kids say, they're lit. And tomorrow Kevin, the medium, will be back in his usual spot. He's back home, safe from Japan. And Dan Rashovich, former Oakland Raider and Canadian Football League Hall of Famer Dan Rashovich, will be with us in hour 1 and 2 as we broadcast live from Western Dodge. That's going to be exciting, too. So we welcome all the new viewers. 902-518-3033 is the text line. It's getting spicy. By the way, we do a lot of Canadian Football League talk here because it's summer. The show, for 3 months out of the year, originates from Canada, and we come to Canada for the summer, and we love the CFL. So, score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale on February 20th, 2027. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. His email, Neil, Neal, at uniglobecarefree.ca. We're going to get to all that CFL stuff in a second because it is week 2, but this is the warm-up, which is coincidentally brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the official preferred travel partner of the RP Show and the CFL's BC Lions. But point 2 of the Quick Six Show topics is Babcock fallout. And there's more today, to the degree that people, like, I'm texting my friends, I'm like, how about the latest Babcock stuff? And they're like, what? It's coming fast and furious here. So the Edmonton Oilers, there you go. What's the poll? Oh, yeah, Canada's game of the week. That's coming up next, point 3. Corey's reading my diary for Country Thunder. So, calm down, Rod, and everybody else for that matter, because John in Edmonton, the comments just went crazy. Whoa. Oh, John in Edmonton says, I don't think the Oilers should hire Mike Babcock, but I'm just a fan. So who am I to say? Some fans will stop watching games or supporting the team because of this hiring. I'll still support. Well, we'll see. And by the way, Bill in Whitby, I don't get it, but he says, LOL, if winning brings haters, then the Leafs must be the most loved team in the world. Not everything goes back to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Can we make that not everything? Everybody needs to, Leaf fans, Leaf media want to relate everything to the Leafs. Not everything relates to the Leafs are their own thing, and they're still a joke. And get back to me when they're not. But on the Babcock thing, well, I guess you're tuned in here because you want my thoughts. It is the RP Show. For those that don't know, Mike Babcock, Stanley Cup winning coach with Detroit, Olympic gold medal winning coach with Team Canada, hired by the Oilers 3 years after being run out of Columbus before he even coached the game because of a player revolt. Prior to that, he was at the University of Saskatchewan as the head coach there. So all of this kind of ties in. And I'll say it again for those that haven't been watching. Mike Babcock is a longtime friend of mine for 30 years. Every time I ask him to come on this show, he comes on. And by the way, he doesn't do very many interviews at all. It's just the viewers were saying here the other day that they went back to watch old interviews of Babcock on this show because you can't find any. For whatever reason, he likes me. I don't get it, but he's also been very good to me. Would I hire Mike Babcock to coach my team? Not if Bruce Cassidy was available. This still all smacks of the Edmonton Oilers and ego and their dysfunction can't wait a week because they don't like being dangled by Kelly McCrimmon. And now they got egg on their face because today's news is reported by Frank Saravelli, the baby-faced assassin from Daily Faceoff, is that the NHLPA basically blocked this hiring, saying we want the investigation concluded from what went down in Columbus as to why he basically was forced to resign with the Blue Jackets. And are you like, this actually came down last night, and there's more here. There's players lined up willing to give testimonies as to what a horrible person Mike Babcock is. That's what the players think. That's not what I think. Again, and don't come at me. And I'm going to pause that for a sec because Vintage Sasko writes in regarding yesterday's show. And he says, hi, Uncle Rod, on the Western Dots text line. He goes, I'm still recovering from yesterday's show. Top 5 all-timer. Ex-wife jokes. Elgard dropping F-bombs. Holy catnip. Those jokes, they weren't jokes. I was trying to relate something here. Babcock's been great to me. Every time he comes on this show, my phone blows up from ex-players, one of which is a cousin of mine, about what a horrible guy Mike Babcock is. I'm like, that's not my problem. And it's similar to basically my aunt. She's like my cousin, but let's call her my aunt. The other night I was at the lake with her, and she was going through all my ex-wives, and she's like, didn't like her. I liked her. But I'm like, wait, you shouldn't like any of them. You're supposed to be on my side. You're my family. But I'm not going to tell her who to like. That's her life. So, back to Babcock. I'll tell you, like, there's a lot of guys that are lining up with bad stories about Mike Babcock. And let me cut to the chase. I don't think he's going to coach a game there. I just don't. I still think it's going to be Bruce Cassidy. I feel like the Oilers did run this up the flagpole to see who saluted, and they got a backlash that even they didn't see coming, which reminds me of another thing. When Mike Babcock got hired by the U of S Huskies to be their head coach, however many years ago that was, 5 years ago, because we did the show from Merlis Belcher Arena in Saskatoon, and Babs came on it live. As I'm sitting here right now, Babs was with me. But I talked to somebody from the U of S alum this morning, University of Saskatchewan. Mike Babcock's alma mater, by the way. And I'm sorry that I'm on a roll. And I know a lot of you came here to talk football, and we'll get to that. But this is something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that I know. That hiring committee in Saskatoon included Dave King, the iconic Canadian hockey coach, NHL, Olympics, Dave King. Jim Hobson, the Hall of Fame president of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who's not with us anymore. Dave Hardy, legendary football coach up there. They hired Babcock, same backlash as this, okay? Same backlash. And Jim Hobson called me the next day after they hired him, after having to field all this backlash and furor from the media, ex-players, fans. He goes, oh, if we'd known this was the thing, I don't think we would have hired him. And I'm like, who did you talk to? You don't got to talk to too many people that will tell you that Mike Babcock isn't popular with his players. I'm like, who the hell did you talk to, Jim? You can't walk this back now, but they were considering it, and I still think the Edmonton Oilers might. I don't know how the Oilers operate, but it reminds me of the Keith Pelly MLSE John Chayka thing. Keith Pelly, who did you talk to? The first 5 guys you would have asked about John Chayka if they were worth their chops and were telling you the truth would say this guy isn't qualified to run a lemonade stand, let alone the Toronto Maple Leafs. So again, U of S, who did you talk to? But the guy that I spoke with this morning said Dave King was really pushing Mike Babcock. So here is which by the way, he was fine there. And I talked to other coaches in that league in Canada West that Bab scared the hell out of him. He's an intimidating guy. But I'll tell you a little story. Ryan Getzlaf, longtime friend of mine, when he won the Stanley Cup in 2007 with Anaheim, he asked me to come and host all the festivities here when he had the Stanley Cup party. So what a rant I'm on, and I haven't even looked at the clock. I'm going to do that right now. Or the comments. And if Brian in Vegas wants to fight, there's the door. I'm not interested in getting in a fight with you. You've been here 5 minutes. We've been on the show 8 years. This ain't the Brian show. But anyways, Getzlaf told me his very first training camp with the Anaheim Ducks, he's skating laps. He wasn't out on the ice 2 minutes. Babcock was the head coach. He came up beside him, swatted him in the butt with his stick, and goes, hey, some of our scouts and the hockey people say that you're soft. But I don't think you're soft. Why would they say that? And Getz is like, I don't know, and I don't care. Skated away. And then he said like a month later, either Getz went back to Calgary, junior, or Babcock got fired. I can't remember how it ended, but the point is Babcock is the kind of guy that's trying to get into your head. And a guy like Getzlaf, you don't get into his head. Just like you, Brian, you don't get into mine. Okay? So Babcock's act works for some players, doesn't work for others. And not everybody hates him. Not everybody hates him. He's got a lot of backers. But if it was up to me and I owned the Edmonton Oilers, I would be waiting a week just displaying a little patience and hiring Bruce Cassidy because you're going to get the permission. And there's my rant on Mike Babcock, so thank you. 902-518-3033. Producer Corey writing in the chat, he says, I also think Torts will get it done. I sure hope so. What else do we have here? 902-518-3033. John in Winnipeg. John Ohm says, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives. Fair? So be it. For peace sake. Oh, trust me, I know. I just kind of came away from that going, I thought you're all on my side. Guess not. It is what it is. Graham writes in. He is in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. He says, Mike Babcock, he says two things can be true at the same time. Mike Babcock can be a generous person and a winning coach and a toxic manager / coach who should never be a boss again. Just ask people about Vince McMahon. The world needs more understanding of nuance. Well, what I know about Babs, and he related it in these shows, these interviews here, he doesn't regret anything he's done in any of his stops. Nope. Not with the Leafs, not in Detroit. I don't even think in Columbus. So, again, how much due diligence did you do, Edmonton? How much did you do? Similar, the U of S, you have to understand, it doesn't matter the level. The concepts are all the same. And frankly, that's how close Jim Hobson and I are, that he would call me the next day and go, oh, we didn't expect this. Maybe you should have asked. A good poll question would be, does Mike Babcock ever coach a game with the Edmonton Oilers? My vote would be no. 902-518-3033. John in Edmonton says, go ask the Edmonton Oilers, Rod. Have somebody from their organization on your show. Why? Why? I don't care enough to do that. Okay. Point 1, Stanley Cup Final Game 4. Point 2, Mike Babcock fallout. Here we go. Point 3, why a lot of you came here today. Canadian Football League Game of the Week. I'm excited about it. Give me all of your CFL thoughts, please, for everybody. This is the Canadian Hour, of course, so that's why we're doing it. We'll spend far more time on the Stanley Cup Final and Babcock stuff next hour, and that's when Tim Hunter is going to be joining us. But here's my thoughts. I see Chris Streveler is going to be the next media sensation. Says he wants to be. He's talking about doing post-game shows, 10 to 15-minute post-game shows on social media and live streams. That's great. He was criticizing the CFL for only having 3 games a week. Here's me. I'm going to Saturday's game which, by the way, is the game of the week. There are only three. 3 teams have a bye again. I don't understand it either, but the CFL doesn't want you to look under the carpet. Teams, leagues don't. It's not just the CFL. They don't want you looking under the hood. So I don't look under the hood. I don't know or care why there's only 3 games a week in weeks 1 and 2. Let's just enjoy the games and stop the bitching. And I'll be there Saturday for the BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'd love to give you all the details as to how and why, but not everybody needs to know. Just watch my social media for that. My point, so I think, I can't, I've been telling you for weeks, I'm not on social media all the time. I'm not missing anything, and I'm a hell of a lot happier. But I've seen, I think, and people have told me that Chris Streveler is criticizing the CFL for only 3 games a week. And Luke Wilson's been criticizing them for a year. And Luke's on the national rights holder. So I don't totally get it. We're going to talk about all of the games when we come back and dig into them a little bit. I don't even know what the poll results is. I'll check the poll results when we come back for Country Thunder on what is Canada's game of the week. And I want to get more and more of your participation. So 902-518-3033. Where's the Stanley Cup final going? Does Mike Babcock ever coach a game in Edmonton? CFL Week 2, Blue Jays, NBA Finals. We'll be right back.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Okay, we're back. We're in one on a Wednesday. Tim Hunter coming up in hour 2, Stanley Cup champion with the Calgary Flames. By the way, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by the Mad Greek. From classic to loaded, pizza night starts at the Mad Greek Eatery. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. And the text line is also rolling, 902-518-3033. I got to be honest, this is like really loving life right now. My 2 favorite leagues are playing. When it's the same night, it's not great, but I'll deal. Stanley Cup final is on. The Canadian Football League's playing. What could be better? Pinball back and forth on the remote control. So Brendan writes in. He says, exactly, Rod. Enough about the 3 games. It's because of the World Cup. Move on and enjoy the games. That's the thing. There's this. Luke Wilson a year ago, for the U.S. viewers, this is the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl winning tight end who's Canadian and is now on the Canadian ESPN, TSN. He said he was going to eradicate the CFL of toxicity. I'm like, it can't be done. And if you've noticed, he just gave up. It can't be done. But you can ignore it. This is written on my arm. Ignore it. And that is all things that are an annoyance, which includes this Brian in Las Vegas, who's a new viewer. How'd you find this, Brian? I'm interested to know. He's new to the show. We got a lot of new viewers here. I don't know how it happened. But he says, I'm not trying to get into anybody's mind. Says people that are trying to get into other people's mind. Dude, I'm a licensed, certified mental health and addiction recovery coach. You can't get me. Producer Corey, what did you call him, an entry-level troll? Is that what you call something like that? Yeah, entry level guy. We've been around 2 minutes. So nice try. And to sit and troll the Vegas Golden Knights and about the expansion rules, we were on that months ago. The only bad thing about the Golden Knights and them the NHL bending the expansion rules to make them competitive is that they'd have still been competitive with that crew, Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee, at all, under the old rules. I firmly believe that. It's a fun debate, though. And Theron Fleury was on with us 2 weeks ago. He said that's not the case. But also what we do here is we debate amongst our friends, and I'm just very grateful that my friends are some of the biggest names and titans in the sports industry, and we have these fun chats. Herb writes in. He says, morning, Rod. On a lighter note, I'm at a good friend's grandson, Casey Tuberfield from Meadow Lake. Picked first overall in the SJHL draft. Thank you. I did not even know that the SJHL draft was going on. I've done a lot of work in that league, so thank you, Herb, for pointing that out. We're saying, too, that we're going to get way more into the CFL games, just so you know, tomorrow, because that's the kickoff of week 2. Kevin the Medium is going to be with us, and if he had his way, this show would be all CFL all the time. But I do want to tell you something fun. We can say it now like the deal's done, and we're going to come back on the CFL stuff here right away, but I'm going to be hosting a soccer World Cup live stream, and it's with our sports betting partner, former sports betting partner, Come On Official. Remember Come On Canada? Come On, it was the betting company. They were with us for a good long time. And then we went off with Bet Regal because, like any business people, what did we do? Bet Regal waved a big check in front of us, and they become our betting partner for years. Now they're out of business. And Come On Official came back, and they approached Moose, who's, as you know, in Toronto now, and they said, hey, we had such a great time, and we really enjoyed our partnership with your show and Rod back in the day. Can we do something for World Cup? And Moose was like, you know that he's not like the biggest soccer guy. They're like, we don't care. We just want to do a live stream and bring your viewers in and for Canada, Qatar. So next week, I'm going to be hosting a live stream from their feed, and Moose is going to be with me for the Canada game, their first game at the World Cup. Can you believe it? It's a long game, life and this sports media business and media business. But if you stick to it long enough, things do come back around. 902-518-3033. Okay, so about those games, Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, and just to preface for the new viewers, hour one, we talk Canadian sports. Hour two, we talk U.S. sports, because that's when we go to the air in Nevada on Silver State Sports, and they've been so phenomenal to us. So Wayne in BC says, he's got a lot. He's got a lot. He writes that he says, yesterday was an awesome show with rider icon Ray Elgard, who was live from Las Vegas. It's really wonderful when we can weave together all of our worlds. Ray's living in Vegas. He's an icon here. We talked Golden Knights. We talked Raiders. We talked CFL. He told some great stories. And Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I'm excited for the CFL to get going. This 3 games a week thing, I hope they quit doing that. Go Riders, go. And he says, I do believe that it's going to be an epic CFL season in 2026. The West Divisions particularly will be very tight. And the East Division too. Well, listen, so last week, because these guys are saying they're going to be, there's the game of the week is BC Sask. We all know that. But the other ones are pretty tantalizing as well. And it's interesting because I'm kind of sitting back. I don't bet. And I'm happy about that I don't bet. I think the leagues are happy that I don't bet. It's a really, really, really ugly thing. And I could tell you a story about that, but, well, I might as well tell you that. We got lots of time left in this hour, 24 minutes left in this hour. Lots of time for the stories. Brendan writes and he says, also tell Scruffy to lay off Rider fans about not selling out Mosaic Stadium. It's going to be a great crowd on Saturday. Rider Nation is alive and well. Listen, Scruffy is just right for the party. Like Joe Rockhead. He likes to kick the hornet's nest. I don't really. Scruffy is at the point of his life where he ain't changing. For me, if you've noticed, it's adapt or die. Go with the flow. You want me to host a World Cup live stream? Sure. I don't know anything about it, but by next Thursday, I'll learn. Secondly, everybody is going off about me and whoever may be the next first ever CFL play-by-play voice on DAZN. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. I don't know. But I really like what I'm doing now, which is hosting these shows, talking about the games, and you're going to see Saturday at the BC-Saskatchewan game a real good example as to where I'm at in life now. Suits me just fine in this business. 10 years ago, Scruffy might have wanted to do it, but he's not interested in that anymore. So back to the betting. Here's the story, because we'll get more into the games after the break. We don't have time to get into them all here now, but it was the night before the 2018 Western semifinal. Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I have told this story on this show before, but I'll tell it again because I feel like we have a lot of new viewers. And I had a friend text me who was he's a big betting guy, and he wanted to know who our starting quarterback was going to be. And it was a huge secret. And to be honest, it was at that point, I didn't know. I didn't even want to know. It was a big secret. Was Zach Caleros was hurt? Brandon Bridge, Air Canada, was potentially going to start? I didn't know. So I wrote him back. I don't know. And he wrote me back, who said, yeah, we're not even friends anymore because of this. And he wrote me back and he goes, come on, I thought we were friends. I said, I'm not telling you who the starting quarterback is. I don't even know who it is. And we're texting. Are you that dumb that you could screenshot this, share it with whoever, and I'd lose my job? That's the pinch. I don't know if I have not talked about this with the play-by-play guys now. I'm going to talk to them all the time, but this has not come up. But I'm like, how skeezy of a supposed friend to do that. I haven't even talked to him since, and we were like super tight back in the day. Thought we were friends. Tell me who's starting at quarterback. How about no? That's how gross this is all gotten. So it's why I would rather not have anything to do. We do our picks here, but that's fun. Or you can bet a lunch or something like that. But that's where this has gone, and I don't really see it getting any better, to be honest with you. And yesterday, the story of the Texas Tech quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, being suspended for the year by the NCAA. I will get into this more after the break because, again, licensed mental health and addiction recovery coach here. I'd kind of like to think the kid would get a second chance. So we bet on games. It's illegal. He said, listen, I'll go get help. I have a gambling addiction, which maybe he does or he didn't, but at least he went to the treatment And the NCAA still wouldn't lift the ban, and that's what I have a problem with. So he takes it to a local court in Amarillo, Texas, and the judge goes, he can play. And there might have been a little of this behind the scenes too. But it's a pretty scary world if we're living in a one-strike world, which when it comes to betting, we are in sports, and that scares the hell out of me. That's why I don't do it. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You know, if you allow it, life can be fun. Social media can be fun. I'm just surfing the Instagram in the break from the Rod Pedersen Show, and we made a meme out of what Ray Elgard said yesterday about playing at UNLV Stadium, Sam Boyd Stadium in 1994. How hot was it, Ray? It was effing hot, Elgard said yesterday. Jason, who is watching in Tennessee, writes, and he goes, but it's a dry heat. But it's a dry cold. The favorite Saskatchewan term when it's minus 40. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? When it gets to minus 40, it doesn't matter whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. By the way, from our poll for Country Thunder. What's Canada's game of the week? Leading the poll with 61% is Hamilton at Winnipeg. Next, BC at Sask, 39%. Add them all up, that leaves 0% for Toronto at Montreal. So, again, we're going to get far more into this tomorrow with Kevin the Medium. But let me just give you a little. This is why, I'm a sports guy. I've dedicated my life to it. Or at least that's how it feels. And so Thursday night in Winnipeg, that aforementioned game, you voters are saying that's the game of the week. Why are you saying that? Rematch of the 2019 Grey Cup. Chris Strevler retirement night. I'll tell you what, if DAZN or whomever brings on Chris Strevler in some sort of capacity as an analyst role, I think it'd be the greatest thing ever. The guy is just infectious. Okay, we got to get him on this show. Maybe we'll do it like next week. I think it'd be great. This is the guy that that Grey Cup 2019, they had the parade down Portage to Maine. And Strevler was wearing a fur coat and a cowboy hat and sunglasses. That's my kind of guy. That's something I would have done back in the day. So he's having a retirement party Thursday night. He's not going to play anymore. He started games for the Arizona Cardinals. I remember watching it. He was lit on Monday Night Football in the fourth quarter of a preseason game against the Jets and then got cut the next day. I've been following his career very closely. He's just very infectious. To me, that's what's the most exciting about that game. And then you got Hamilton 0-1, Winnipeg 1-0. Both games in week one, those results were decided basically on a coin flip, really. Went right down to the last play of the game. And that's what's great about the Canadian Football League. So anyway, my biggest thing for Thursday is the Strevler retirement party. It's going to be lit, as he says. Friday night, the Toronto Argonauts at the Montreal Alouettes. Chad Kelly versus Davis Alexander. What more do you need to know? And it's interesting when we bring on the football guys, because trust me, they do not bet. I will never forget, Craig Dickinson and I are very close. And when he was the special teams coordinator for us, 2 different stints. I remember one time standing in the end zone. I don't know who the hell we were. I think it was McMahon in Calgary, under the uprights in the warm-up, because I would go down there. Probably wasn't supposed to, but I did. And Dickie, in his Elmer Fudd style, leans over. What's the line? Riders by 7. Got it. They don't even know. They don't pay attention. And they're not anybody that I've known. So I do kind of understand when guys like Chauncey Billups or Terry Rozier with the Heat, why they get their nuts nailed to the wall. I get it, but it's very, very, very rare. And I've never known anybody. None of my friends have, and that's the truth. You know, when Belichick was getting nailed with the Spygate and Don Matthews was getting nailed with the Spygate, I remember saying to our coaches, does that go on? Oh, other teams do it, but we don't. Oh, okay. Now, I can tell you as I'm talking to you right now, I've never known any players or coaches that even knew what the line was or paid attention to that or tried to shade point. I don't know any. John Ohms says Rod's friend wanted to know the starter because of gambling purposes. That's the story. And looking back, clearly we're not friends. Scott in Vancouver writes that and he says, is Kelly getting the start for sure? Why wouldn't he? Started the preseason, right? He's healthy. I mean, I'm not clearly sitting here seeing who's taking the first team reps in practice for the Toronto Argonauts this week. I feel like if he wasn't, we'd know. And I guess if I bet, I would be far more on top of the situation than I am. But I was 2-1 coming out of week one with the picks. And by the way, when we talk to the football guys just about who they think's going to win, it always comes down to the quarterback play. And I sit there going, there's 44 guys on the roster in the CFL. No, it's the quarterback. which makes this Saturday's game at Saskatchewan hella delicious. Is Nathan Rourke even 30 yet? The quarterback of the BC Lions, WestJet, and he's going up against 40-year-old Trevor Harris. I almost fell off my stool when I was emceeing an event this winter with Corey Mace, the head coach of Saskatchewan, and I said, how old are you in relation to Trevor Harris, your quarterback? He goes, he's got me by 6 months. I'm like, what does that mean? Trevor Harris, the quarterback, is 6 months older than his head coach. Tell me where else that would be a thing. God bless the CFL. Haven't made my picks yet, but I'm waiting until tomorrow when Kevin the Medium joins us to discuss it. Vancouver Eric writes in regarding our Monday and Tuesday Hour 1 co-host. He says, I like the Scruffy hot takes. Go Scruffy! He's just right for the party. You guys got to understand something. Like, he predicted a Montreal BC Grey Cup last year going into the playoffs just to piss everybody off. And it worked. No, but nobody came back. This is the one thing for the guys that are afraid to do the hot takes. Nobody ever comes back and trolls you that your picks were wrong. Never. They don't remember. My brother that I've referenced before, the cowboy, says we live in a 24-hour world. People forget what happened yesterday. They're not thinking about tomorrow. He couldn't have been more right. Well, here you go. Kirk in Toronto is watching on Game Plus streaming. He writes in, hi, Rod. I picked the Argos Als game of the week because of the return of Chad Kelly, which is running in third place on the YouTube poll. Well, that's why we have votes. Okay, by the way, for John in Edmonton and Colt in San Diego, because I feel like you're the same person, and you're all over the Trump stuff, did I see a headline somewhere this morning that Donald Trump is claiming the NBA rigged Game 3 of the finals? Did I dream that? The one thing with Trump, you just never know. You just never know. I'm really enjoying the summer in Canada, believe me, but I'm hearing from my U.S. friends every day. Chris from the Bronx, you watching? He writes in and says these Knicks fans are unbearable. And I'm like, yeah, I noticed that before I left, unbearable before I left Florida. They're like Leaf fans and like Cowboys fans, unbearable. The reason Chris was texting me today, he pulled a fish out of the bigger. You don't have the screen's not big enough for the size of this fish, the size of him. Out of the little canal behind his house where I've been. He goes, a real rod bender. That is not a phrase that we use in Saskatchewan. Have you ever heard that phrase, Producer Corey? A rod bender. A real rod bender. Right, it's a U.S. term and a fishing term. I don't fish around here. And the fish here aren't big enough to bend your rod. I'm not going there, but thank you. Producer Corey always takes the off-ramp to inappropriate town. Point 1, Stanley Cup Final. Point 2, Babcock fallout. Point 3, CFL Week 2. Point 4, Dylan Cease said he felt some rust early in his splendid performance on Tuesday night. Through the lens of Toronto manager John Schneider, he showed why the team signed him during the offseason. Cease threw 11 strikeouts, only allowing 3 hits, 1 walk and 1 run in 6 innings of work in Toronto's 3-2 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. The righty made his first start since landing on the 15-day injured list with a hamstring strain. Listen, you see I got all these things going through my cranium. The guy Herb wrote in about the SJHL draft. I didn't even know what was going on. I mean, the Calder Cup, the Toronto Marlies are in it. Ditto. Didn't know what was going on. I watched 5 seconds of the Stanley Cup Game 4 last night because I was calling baseball, and you can't see them, but all of the players are filtering in and out of the Golden Ticket Sports Center here right now because they come in for a 10 o'clock lift, and they're all here. And I just love those guys so much. Don't tell them. But we got our 6'5" righty, the guy that set a franchise record for strikeouts last year, Weston Walls. He's a pecan rancher from Terrell, Texas. And we're real close. And then there's Ben Wallachek, where every at-bat is an event with this kid. He's dancing. He's drawn a cross in the dirt with the end of his bat. His dad's a slumlord in Wichita, Kansas. That's what he tells me. He's a Dallas Stars fan. That's my focus when I'm in that booth. I love these kids so much and their families. Point 5, if President Donald Trump is coming to the game, bet on the visiting team. You'll usually be in the money, at least if recent history folds. The Knicks, after 2 straight wins in the finals against the Spurs, lost at home Monday night, 115-111, with the president in attendance, cheering on his NBA team. He similarly may have had a jinxing role for MLB's Washington Nationals during his first term when the home team lost Game 5 of the World Series to Houston, and Trump was there. In November, the president was on hand with the NFL's Washington Commanders hosting the Detroit Lions, and the visitors won 44-22. I feel like that's just the media trying to stir something up. What do you think? Well, let's see. Trump won't be there tonight. Let's see if the Knicks win Game 4. We're going to have a lot of fun coming up in hour 2. That's my prediction. And Stanley Cup champion Tim Hunter is going to be with us to talk about the final, the Babcock fallout, and all the rest. We'll be right back when the RP Show continues after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Come and get it. It's the RP Show, everybody. Welcome. Get up inside the RP Show on Silver State Sports. Having fun. Also streaming on Game Plus, YouTube Live, podcast, and always on WQVC Radio in the U.S. South. Shout out Ryan O Media, big supporter of everything we do at the RP Show. It is, some may think it's an insult. I don't. People are like, it's the ultimate sports variety show. Well, that's what I think. And we got a lot of topics on the table today. Our guest is Tim Hunter, Stanley Cup champion with the Calgary Flames, but a former Vancouver Canuck as well, San Jose Shark, Quebec Nordique, coached many, many years with the Washington Capitals. Tim Hunter will be with us to talk about the Stanley Cup final. And let's get rolling with that here in the warm-up, brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the CFL's BC Lions. I really do enjoy the reaction that we're getting from the Vegas viewers. They're writing in. They're loving the hockey talk. They're loving the CFL talk because Vegas was a CFL city back in the day. And that's our poll question relating to Week 2 in the Canadian Football League. We'll get to that again. But let's blow the horn. Again, the big story. There's a lot of them in hockey, actually, on and off the ice. But let's keep it to on the ice. Give this series the respect that it deserves. I'll say it again. A guy by the name of Mark Anderson wrote this story for the Associated Press, this lead, and I love it. Their Carolina-Vegas series was largely expected to be a Stanley Cup final in which goals were at a premium, and each shift felt like a march up a well-defended hill. Yeah, that isn't this. Another 2-goal lead went the way of the landline on Tuesday night. The go-ahead goal came from a 37-year-old on his stomach on one of the great runs in Cup final history, and the winning goalie made his first start in 2 months and doesn't know if he's going to start again. Yeah. Welcome to the 2026 Stanley Cup final. Carolina beat Vegas last night 5-3. That part is not a laughing matter, as we air across Nevada on Silver State Sports, but are we surprised? I picked Vegas to win, and I still think they're going to win the series. I'm clearly cheering for them to win the series. Now, worlds are colliding here, and this is really odd because everything's in the flow, and that's what you want. In terms of all our topics are coming together, the viewers too, I love it. So I didn't watch Game 4 of the Stanley Cup final last night because I was broadcasting NCAA baseball, Western Canadian Baseball League, Collegiate Summer League. I saw 5 seconds of the game, but all I needed to see was the highlights this morning and then the John Tortorella clips afterwards to back up what I thought. It was not a well-played game by Vegas at all, based on the goals that they allowed. And if you remember, you're watching this show all through the Stanley Cup playoffs. What was the score in Game 2 of the Anaheim-Vegas series? Was it 6-3, 7-3, whatever it was? The Ducks motorboated the Golden Knights at the Fortress. And I said, the Golden Knights will not have another game like that again. Well, they played like it last night. From what I saw in the highlights, they didn't defend their goal well. And then after the game, John Tortorella said they didn't make Carolina work for their goals. I'm like, thank you, Torts. Thank you. Do you see why I watch the games with the sound down? And I don't need to listen to the post-game interviews. I know it myself. So now we're getting down to the nitty-grit. As we say on the ranch growing up, we're down in nut-cutting time here. There's only 3 games left, maybe 2. I think Vegas will regain that form. I really do, but you can't take your eye off the ball. And then there's just that whole thing. I mean, it dawned on me last night. Yeah, I want Vegas to win. But you know what? A lot of those guys got their rings. If Carolina wins, I will be happy for them too, because I'm a sportsman. And their head coach, Rod Brindamore, deserves it. He's a Notre Dame Hound icon and all of the rest. But this series has just been so epic. I said Vegas in 6. It's tracking to that, and that's my analysis of Game 4. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Again, the warm-up is brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. They're doing trips into the U.S. As a matter of fact, Neil wants to plan an NFL trip. I feel like we should go to Vegas, Neil. We're getting so many invites that I feel that we should go to Vegas. I'm just putting it into the universe. Point 2. 2 words for this. It's called Babcock Fallout. Period. I don't need to read any script. I'm not as up to it as Mike Babcock is, and there's the latest on this Wednesday. You're following this story, right? The former head coach of Detroit, Anaheim Ducks, Toronto Maple Leafs, University of Saskatchewan Huskies, a dip in there, his alma mater. And then Columbus, where he was forced to resign because of a player revolt before he even coached a game. The read on this has not changed. My God, I'm praying to the Almighty One that I'm right on this, that my read is right, and frankly, it normally is. The Edmonton Oilers just couldn't wait because they're dysfunctional and their ego is so big that they don't like being dangled by the Golden Knights and Kelly McCrimmon, so they couldn't wait a week to talk with Bruce Cassidy, so they're going to hire Mike Babcock, which, yes, we've been over this. He is a longtime friend of mine. I have zero issues with Mike Babcock. And I'm actually, in the last 24 hours, I've realized that Mike Babs doesn't do many interviews at all. Yet he's come on this show multiple times. And a lot of people have gone back and watched the interviews on this show through all of these firings and resignations. And we interviewed him when he was up at the U of S coach. We went there to interview him, and it was great. I don't have an issue with him. So literally do not at me on that. Because every time he comes on, the players blow up my phone, specifically my cousin who doesn't like him at all. But I'm like, but whatever, man. I don't like. If I ran around getting upset at people that are friends with the people that screwed me or were mean to me over the years, my God, I wouldn't have time. Now, having said all that, all those things, I had this up on the break, and I'm not going to read it here now, but what's the latest today? This hiring, I don't think Mike Babcock ever coaches a game at Edmonton because I said I'm up to it in trying to follow sports. His ass is on fire, Mike Babcock's, because I have a tough time believing the NHL never finished their investigation onto him in September 2023 when he was forced to resign because of a player revolt. But the NHLPA, do you think the Players Associations don't have stroke? They do. Morning, Ben. That is my friend Ben Wolochek, second baseman from Wichita, Kansas, and I love him so much. He's the one who said his dad's a slumlord in Wichita. I think he says rental properties. It was Ben's term, not mine. Oh, I said these worlds are colliding. Where are you? Vancouver Eric writes in and says, do these kids have major league dreams? Yeah, they do. They're playing at the top level D1 baseball in the NCAA. And the best player in our league the last 2 years just got invited to the MLB Combine for the draft quarterbacks. They all have major league. I was just saying to somebody the other day, I wouldn't be broadcasting these games if it was a beer league. No, it's incredible baseball every night. I love the players and their families, and it's why I come back every summer to broadcast this ball. It's high-caliber NCAA, and there's been a lot of players from this league going to Major League Baseball. Back on track. Because I feel like the off-ramp to Crazy Town is like right there. And it's just anyways, there's rife with coverage. I don't even know where to begin. It was the last thing that I looked at and the first thing that popped up on my phone. Yeah, it's gone now. But let's just say the heavyweights are on this. Frank Saravelli from the Daily Face-Off, the baby-faced assassin, Darren Dreger too. They've all said the NHL has paused the Babcock hiring at the request of the NHLPA until they finish this investigation. I'm like, how did you not finish it 3 years ago? But they didn't. So here we are. So my point is, I think I need to repeat this for the sake of the hockey viewers that are watching that weren't watching an hour ago. We've said that Mike is a friend of mine. That's not changing. When he was hired at the University of Saskatchewan, his alma mater, to be the head coach there of the men's hockey program, a day later, the fallout was so severe. Like this, but, well, this is 10 times worse, but it was still big then. And I had somebody from the hiring committee call me and go, oh, if we'd known this, we wouldn't have hired him. I'm like, who did you talk to? I'm his friend. I could have told you this wouldn't be a popular hire. And most of the guys that played for him don't like that. Who did you talk to? It's just like MLSE with Keith Pelly hiring John Chayka. Who did you talk to? Who did these guys talk to? Who did the Oilers talk to? So anyways, now it's a grease fire. And this is the one thing. Like I don't have a lot of time for Mike Commodore, but he played for Babcock. I don't know where. Maybe you people can tell me where. But he has just made it his personal mission to make sure Mike Babcock never coaches a peewee team, let alone an NHL team again. And he said, Commodore's not wrong on this, I don't think. He goes, I don't want to hear any more talk about mental health for the players if this hiring goes through. Because this guy is the worst thing for player mental health. That's from Commodore, a former player. He's welcome to it. That's not where I'm agreeing with him. What I'm saying is these teams, I get it all the time because we have a very influential role here on the air in both countries. Yeah, we have a big imprint, and they're like, the leagues don't want to look bad. The team, don't make them look bad. Don't make the teams look bad. So I don't. So Edmonton, what are you doing? What did you think was going to happen? You've caused all of this because you couldn't wait a week because you're going to get permission to talk to Bruce Cassidy. Write it down. So that's my whole point, and I said it yesterday in this hour, and I'm saying it here right now, was my contention that Bruce Cassidy will be coaching Edmonton next year, and the Golden Knights will lift the restriction on that, and he'll go there because nobody wants a bad story. And Kelly McCrimmon doesn't want to be known as a guy that holds people back. So here we are. But the Oilers couldn't wait. And again, thanks for coming to my TED. Is it on me that we got on the Donald Trump thing? I feel like it is. We still have plenty of time left in this segment. We're off-roading. Point 1, Stanley Cup final. Point 2, Mike Babcock. Not doing a lot of CFL here. We did it in hour 1. That's what you came for. So point 3 is NBA Finals, man. I'll be watching tonight. I got sucked into the hype. Clearly not a basketball guy. Not saying I never will be. I'm going to be hosting a World Cup soccer live stream next week, so you never know. Never's a long time. But I've gotten into the NBA, and this from the Associated Press. If President Donald Trump is coming to the game, bet on the visiting team. You'll usually be in the money. At least if recent history holds, the Knicks, after 2 straight wins in the finals against the Spurs, lost Monday night at home, 115-111 at MSG, with Trump in attendance cheering on his favorite Big Apple team. He similarly may have had a jinxing role for the Nationals in the what was it? Didn't say the year of the World Series. Whenever the Nationals, well, they won it. I guess the Commanders were at home and lost to Detroit last year. He went to them. That's just the media trying to make something, make him look bad. Nobody answered my question. I said this last hour before we were on Silver State Sports. Is Trump accusing the NBA of rigging Game 3? I saw a headline that said that, but I don't know what to believe anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't believe anything more. All I know is because I'm doing this NCAA baseball, and I love it, and I don't have a lot of time for the Blue Jays. So Monday night, because they play every night, we had an off night Monday, sat down to watch the Blue Jays, and they were getting the brakes beat off them 5-0 by the Phillies. So, which they beat the Phillies last night 3-2. Dylan Cease struck out 11. But I flipped over to the NBA pregame show, and I'm like, this is amazing. They really know how to do it. And ESPN just went and plucked Shaq and Kenny and Chuck and the gang, Kenny Smith. Yeah, who am I missing? Ernie Johnson. They just plucked him from TNT. We're taking you. And that was the pregame show. I was like, It was like they waved a glow stick in front of me. And then the game started, but not before the big run out and fireworks and Trump. And I'm like, what the hell? Well, God bless America. That's what the NBA is doing. The game? There was a game? I'm looking around. You got Ben Stiller over here. You got Spike Lee over here. Trump, as I said. It's just a flippin' spectacle, man. And I loved every second of it. That's what every league needs. And whether you like Trump or not, I mean, that is him. He's a spectacle. You got to watch. And Game 4 is tonight, and I will be watching. Oh, since we are here and on it, we're a big CFL show. Vegas was a CFL town. It is week 2 in the Canadian Football League. Our poll question today brought to you by our friends at Country Thunder. The biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan this summer, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP Show. What is Canada's game of the week in the CFL? There are 3 games. Thursday night in Winnipeg, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers host the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a rematch of the 2019 Grey Cup. Friday night, an Eastern Canadian showdown that I'm just going to tell you right now is trailing distantly in the poll. Chad Kelly's Toronto Argonauts. Chad Kelly, that's Jim Kelly's nephew, in case you didn't hear, going into Montreal, taking on the kid, Davis Alexander from Portland State, who's never lost a regular season game in the CFL history. He's 12-0. That's Friday night. And Saturday, the game that I will be at, and I'm not prepared to divulge the details around how and why. I feel like Trump going into this game, but I'll be there. Saturday, the BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Canada's football capital. That's the game of the week. Why are we even running a poll? But that's it. We've still got World Cup stuff to get to and a little MLB later on, but we have an esteemed guest next, our good friend Tim Hunter, Stanley Cup champion, to talk about these Stanley Cup finals. Get ready for the Babcock Talk, too. Babs Fallout. Hunsey, we got to get into that. It's all coming up next. Brought to you by Prairie Panels. Check them out at prairiepanels.ca. You are watching the RP Show on Silver State Sports and Game Plus streaming.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back. Let's get right into it. Timothy Hunter, our guest today for Prairie Panels, played 815 NHL games with the Calgary Flames, Quebec Nordique, Vancouver Canucks, San Jose Sharks. We got a lot to get to, Tim. Welcome back to the RP Show. Good to see you. How's your summer going, Tim?
Fantastic, Rod. A little bit of rain here and there in Calgary, but hasn't deterred my golf game, I'll tell you that.
Last summer, you were laid up, as I recall. That put a little bit of a crimp in your golfing, if I remember correctly.
It was the summer before that. I was just coming off my third prosthetic in 11 months. Hip, knee, and knee. So, yeah.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. But I'm full go. Half-inch taller. My knees are straight. I can walk 18 holes. Doesn't affect me. I played 6 or 7 days last week. And
wow.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, I told you we did that Theron Fleury golf tournament last year, and we said, here's an empty stool at the front. If Tim Hunter wants to sit here and defend himself with these stories, like a shot, I've never seen you move so fast. So clearly,
I would do
whatever
anything
they did
for
working.
Theo, and I do anything for you, Rod. You guys are the best.
I appreciate it, Tim. Yeah, Theo said that was the best hot stove we've ever had, by the way. I said, well, what was the difference? Tim was in it. We'd never had him before. Anyways, we're here to talk Stanley Cup final. You've been in a few. Are you seeing the talk that this is the best ever?
It sure is good. And the thing that I really enjoy, and people ask me, who's your favorite team? And I don't. I mean, I'm a big Vegas fan because I coach Brett Howden and family friends with Brett and his family. And Carolina, I just love the way they play. Two totally different teams. Vegas, prototypical, big, heavy, skilled NHL team, and Carolina more on the skill, speed, puck possession, puck pressure. And really, when you play a team like that, it seems like they got 6 guys on the ice all the time. Like, why are we getting pressure so much? Where's this extra guy coming from? The people don't realize Carolina blocked the fewest amount of shots last season in the regular season, and they got hit the most. They took the most hits. So 2 things. They pressure the puck. They don't allow the other team to get shots away. They go right at the puck, stick on puck, and less shots to the net and less having to block shots. They don't just get in a shooting lane and go down on one knee and genuflect. If there is no other choice, they'll block a shot. But the first thing is to pressure the puck. And then on the other side, with the taking the most hits, it's puck possession. They have the puck the most. They're willing to take hits to make plays, and they go into those dirty areas to get pucks out, get pucks into possession of their teammates to make plays. So it's a fun way to play. It's a fun series to watch. Up until this point, I would say the best final of all time was the 94 series, the Rangers, Vancouver Canucks that I played in, 7 games. And it was fantastic, but it wasn't so much a seesaw event like this one is. Both teams winning a game in overtime. Both teams have won in the other team's building, and it's tied 2-2 after 4 games. So very exciting. I love it. I love the way Howdy's playing that line. I love Torts. He's a fantastic guy and a fantastic coach. So, it's fun, and it's really exciting for the NHL.
Well, when they say the best ever, I'm like, 94 is the one that everybody's saying. And I mean, we watch them all. I'm like, 04 was great. Tampa, Calgary, they're all great.
Oh, that was
so
good.
Yeah, that was a good one. But I need, please, your analysis of Game 4 because I didn't watch it. I was broadcasting Moose Jaw Miller baseball. I saw the highlights this morning on SportsCenter. I'm like, wow. It's exactly what Tortorella said. Carolina did not have to work for their goals. It didn't seem to me like Vegas played very well at all. What did you see in Game 4?
I've talked to lots of people and listened to the telecast and listened to the post-game rhetoric with all those guys, and they said it looked like Vegas was in control the whole game and they didn't have many shots, and then it looked, back. I think it was just a good hockey game. Carolina had their foot on the gas from the get-go. They got 3 quick goals. People were shocked that Torts didn't pull Hart. But, he's smart enough to realize when you look at the goals, he didn't have really a great chance on any of them. They were good goals in the dirty areas, good goals by Carolina. And, Carolina played its game, and, most of these games, the team that scores first wins the game about 75% of the time. So Carolina had to come out, be aggressive, get a lead, and then play their game. And, if Vegas is not getting a lot of shots on net, that's not a good thing, because the skill that they have, Eichel, Marner, Carlson, and the crew, and the opportunities they get from the back end, there's trouble. So Carolina did a lot of good things, and Vegas hung in there. They tied the game. They get their greasy goals, and they still managed. So it was a good hockey game. But I think I think Carolina did the right thing. They didn't want to go down 3-1. They had to get in the game early and get the lead, and they did that, and they held it.
God, it's fun talking about it with you. Did you have a pre-series pick? I said Vegas in 6. Did you? Were you leaning either way?
I just wanted a good series. I wasn't picking a team because, like I said, I like both teams, and for different reasons. I really think the way Carolina plays is the new way to play. You'll see more teams playing more towards that Carolina style. When I coached the World Junior 3 years in a row, assistant coach 2 years and head coach 1 year, we especially when I coached the defense, I didn't preach shot blocking. I preached puck pressure, and if your last chance you shot block, you're not going to go down and when you're 20 feet away from a guy and block a shot, because he's going to just pick his poison and shoot the puck where he can. Hockey gets better all the time. Every couple of years the game changes, and right now it's going through a transition. Players, especially the way they shoot the puck, they don't snap it or slap it. They pull it in and they fling the puck with these new flexible sticks. They can really lean on that puck, drop you down to block a shot, and pull it and shoot it where they want. And that's getting troublesome for teams that solely rely on blocking shots. So it's exciting to see Carolina succeed at what they're doing. In a way, I'd like to see them win for that reason. On the other side, I'd like to see Brett Howden get another Stanley Cup. And George McPhee. I worked for George McPhee in Washington twice, 5 years once, and once again. And I'm a good friend of George. And the way they operate, everyone says they're ruthless. But it's like all teams that win. Nobody likes them because they try to win, and they do whatever it takes to win. And they play within the rules. They're not breaking the rules. They play within the rules. So shame on people for giving them a rub because they're trying to win, being ruthless. I look at the Cassidy situation with Edmonton. Who's to blame for that? Well, lots of people. But when you sign a contract as a coach, when they relieve you of your duties, you still have a contract. So they get to determine what happens to you. And when they so deemed possible, they allowed to release you to go and look for another job. And they're not in the business to do that kind of stuff during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hey, Edmonton, you go ahead and get your pick of a coach and have a ball. You guys failed, and we're going to help you out. I just don't think that's the way to do business, personally.
I think we all get it. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this. What do people not understand? The Golden Knights are paying him. I'll say it. You don't have to. They control him for as long as they're paying him. That's
Correct.
The way that it is.
And if he wants to forfeit his salary, they still have a right to him. But he's quite happy taking home I don't know what he makes between
4.5.
There you go.
$4.5 million.
Yeah, he's quite happy with that. But he also wants to coach again. And what happens in coaching, the longer you're out of it, the harder it gets get back into it. And slowly these jobs are being filled up. LA got filled up. Edmonton's now has another guy on their radar. So that's changed things as well.
Well, we're gonna get into but I want your take on. We're gonna get to the Babcock stuff right away. But Tim, I want your take on this. Because I'm in South Florida 9 months out of the year. I'm around all these football guys with the coaches. And they're like, can you believe so-and-so got fired with a year left? That school owed him $1.2 million, and they made him show up every day and sit at a desk for 6 hours to get $1.2 million. I said, guys, I know a lot of people that show up and do nothing at a desk for far less than $1.2 million. Listen to yourselves. They thought he was so aggrieved to get $1.2 million.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's the entitlement of the world today, I guess.
They did. So a viewer writes in, Rob, he's in Windthorst, and he says the Oilers had Bob Stauffer send up a trial balloon on the Babcock story, which is blown up in their face. I doubt Bruce Cassidy will want to go to Edmonton after this. The Oilers are getting into Leafs drama territory. Frankly, I think if Cassidy wants to go, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, regardless of this. But what is your thoughts on the events of the past couple days?
Well, it comes down to the Oilers, and I'm not a fan of the way they do business, to be honest with you. And it's lots of coaches in the last few years for the same players. That to me is a red flag. And then on the other side, so these guys, everyone makes mistakes. Just take Cassidy, for instance. He apparently gets fired because he's too hard on the players. He's sarcastic, and he rubs them the wrong way, and they got tired of it, so they wanted a new coach. So they bring in Tortorella, kinder, gentler, friendly guy, much more compassionate and much more of a player's coach, and he's successful. So now Cassidy's looking for another job. He's going to have to change, and everyone makes mistakes, and everyone can change. Now you go to Mike Babcock. Be the same with Mike. Mike has been accused of doing all these things in Columbus, and he obviously made a mistake, so that's why he resigned. And Mike wants to work again. Mike's going to have to go through the process of convincing people that he's changed, not unlike Joel Quenneville did in Anaheim and not unlike Stan Bowman did in Edmonton. We all make mistakes, and we all want a second chance, and we can all change, and we can all improve from those mistakes. And that's how you get better, is learning from your mistakes. So, I believe in the process that the NHL will take care of things and make sure that it's done right, that if Mike Babcock was egregious and the malfeasance should be in place, then Mike Babcock doesn't work again. But if the NHL believes that what he did was not that egregious and there was no malfeasance, then Mike Babcock's going to coach in Edmonton. There's not too much anyone can do about it. It's like the story of the past 3 or 4 months or whatever it would be. With here you have Brett Howden, who was on trial, at the trial, on the stand. You have Carter Hart, one of the 5 guys involved. You have Stan Bowman. You have Joel Quenneville. Now you have Mike Babcock. These guys all made mistakes, and they all want to work again. They all want to do the right thing. So, it's whether they get the opportunity is the question, and are they going to go through the right channels to get the opportunity?
Well said. I don't think Babcock coaches a game in Edmonton. I think it's going to be blocked, and in the end, I think they're going to get permission to talk to Bruce Cassidy, and I think he's going to be coaching there. But who knows how this is going to all turn out. But when you talk about Babcock in Toronto, Coach Tim Hunter with us, Stanley Cup champion, were you with Ron Wilson with the Leafs? Because you were with the Leafs for quite a while on the bench, were you not?
Yeah, I coached with Ron for 15 years, and as his assistant coach. And I was in Toronto with Ron, and then they brought in Randy Carlyle, and then I'm not sure who was after that, to be honest with you.
It's a revolving door like Edmonton. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of coaches get second opportunities. It's like the retread market, because these guys are in it and they know it so well. And when you do make a mistake, you if you're smart, you know how to fix it and you can learn from it. Just look at Peter Laviolette, for example. How many times has he been in the final and never won? With different teams, 3 or 4 different teams, never won. Now he's back at it. Typical retread. Look at Tortorella, 20 years in between Stanley Cup finals. But these guys, and the guys that win Stanley Cups aren't the guys, they're the guys with the gray hair. They're the guys that have the experience. And experience is very, very vital to coaching any sport at all, because you learn what the players need and what they want, and you learn what works and what doesn't as far as winning.
Oh, I get a real kick out of people that think so-and-so, this coach has aged out. I'm like, it's not about the color of his hair. It's about how he can adapt. See you guys. These are the ball players, coach. They come in and work out here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw.
Cool.
Well, so the Leafs, we got 4 minutes here. So what time is it? Leafs don't have a coach, or they do have a coach? Like, I'm kind of lost.
I'm not sure on the Leafs. I haven't been following that. I was golfed yesterday and the day before, so I haven't really got a little snippets of the news, but I don't know what the Leafs. I heard they were interviewing Joe Pavelski. That was interesting. If I'm Toronto, I'm going to hire a Canadian guy that can handle the media and is good at handling egos. I think personally, if I was Toronto, I would have never drafted an American as a star player. Because it's a culture that they like the American hockey, the USA hockey. They like being in their home turf. And he's a star that plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I don't think he's 100% all in with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that's Austin Matthews, in my opinion.
Oh, look at his body language. Look at his face. Doesn't look like he's having a lot of fun to me.
No, it never has. It never has looked like he was gonna bleed blue and white. Never ever seemed to me. And you look at great Leaf players and great Leaf captains, and he is not an example of any one of those. And so to make the Toronto Maple Leafs great again, they have to get some of their own culture in there, and develop ground level what's acceptable and what's not, and what's a Toronto Maple Leaf. And I don't think you could identify what a Toronto Maple Leaf is right now. They've lost it. And I hope Matt Sundin can resurrect what a Toronto Maple Leaf is from the time when he played and Doug Gilmour all the way back to when Lanny McDonald and Darryl Sittler played there, or even in the 60s when Dave Keon, those guys played. You knew what a Toronto Maple Leaf was, and now I don't. You can tell me what a Toronto Maple Leaf is. I couldn't tell you how they play. Craig Berube tried, but that was like bashing your head against the wall.
I swear to God, I always got to preface, Mike Babcock is a friend of mine for 30 years. He's been on the show many times. I said, if Babs can't be successful there, nobody can. And I still believe that. We got to go here in a minute, Tim. But so listen, I could talk with you for hours.
Well, Mike definitely knows how to handle star players because he's been in the driver's seat on that bus. But I don't know if he knows how to turn a D8 cat around like a guy like John Tortorella does and a guy like Joel Quenneville does. Quenneville, the job he did in Anaheim to get that team competitive, to get in the playoffs, to win, and the job that Tortorella has done to turn a lackluster group in Vegas that wasn't quite where they should have been around is quite impressive.
And neither one a finalist for Coach of the Year. All right, Tim. Hope to see you at Theo's tourney. Appreciate the time.
You bet. Thanks, Rod. Have a great day.
Stanley Cup champion Tim Hunter checking in from Calgary, talking Stanley Cup final and NHL coaching, and it's always wonderful. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports, WQVZ.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video. so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Well, this has been amazing. We got more hot takes than IHOP. I don't know. Ken in Mississauga writes in, he goes, this is a very hot take. Yes, it is. John in Winnipeg. Lots of respect for Tim's comments. Bang on about Matthews and the Leafs. Wayne in Victoria, BC. We got him coast to coast. Says, very interesting that Tim Hunter thinks Austin Matthews can't lead the Maple Leafs because he's American. David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in. He says, the best example of a successful retread is Paul Maurice. Yeah? Yeah. That is just a hell of a story. Somebody said to me, you should write a book on the history of Florida hockey, and I probably will. It's not something I'm going to jump to today, but how Paul Maurice bounced around and ended up winning a Stanley Cup. It's you don't understand. We've got the American viewers in Nevada. We got the Canadian viewers, as you see, writing in. The countries are so different in terms of mentality. It's so different. I used to think the 49th parallel was nothing more than a virtual line. And it might as well be the Berlin Wall in terms of the way people think. Like the day the Panthers hired Paul Maurice to be head coach, my friends were like, who's this guy? He's never won anything. And I'm like, no, but it's a great hire. But it's just championships on the resume down there. That's all that it is. And but if you're in the game, you knew that was a great hire. You know? And then this Babcock thing, I go back to what Rob from Winthor said. This just blew. All the hot takes. I got to go back and I want to get this right, specifically what Tim Hunter said. I already wrote down, he says, I'm not a fan of the way they do business. That was about the Oilers. People that are old enough watching this show right now understand that. You get to a certain point where you just don't care. And that's where Tim is. He's not coaching again. He knows that. We've had these talks. We spent a lot of time together in I mean, he might, but he's not pursuing it. Because who knew that John Tortorella at 67 would be the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights? My God, I think we all would have lost a bet on that. So you never know how the world's going to go. But Tim's 66. I looked it up. You just don't care. I mean, for the CFL fans, I remember reading Bobby Ackle's book in 06, 07, I think it was 07, when that came out, The Water Boy. This guy, famed story, he was the assistant GM of the Dallas Cowboys, Arizona Cardinals, a legend in the Canadian Football League, and his story is a great one. He started as the water boy of the BC Lions. Why is it that my life and the BC Lions are just, and you're going to see more, but started as the water boy, worked his way up to the president. And I love guys like that because you see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. And Bobby, in his book called The Water Boy, just let it fly. Are we going to a break in 2 minutes? I'm just getting into a good one. For instance, but I'm sitting there reading this, and at that time, Bobby was like 65. He didn't care anymore. Just so you know, I'm a long ways from 65, or I would be letting it fly a lot more than what I do. But I'm sitting there going, he said what? Like, for instance, when I watched that Dallas Cowboys documentary last summer, The Gambler and America's Team, and Jerry Jones told his story about the night that they got in the fight, him and Jimmy Johnson, and he fired Jimmy Johnson at the draft or at the league meetings in Orlando a month after they won the Super Bowl. Jerry Jones' recollection of that event was a hell of a lot different than Bobby Ackles, and Bobby was sitting at the table. It's in his book. I would believe Bobby Ackles as to how that went down. Jerry said, well, I don't know why he was upset. Well, because you stood there and you said, let's have a toast to everybody who helped me win the Super Bowl. And Jimmy Johnson didn't raise his glass. Jimmy didn't move. He was thinking, you son of a... And because Jimmy didn't get up, Jerry fired him the next day. Brilliant. Vancouver Eric writes in, he says, welcome aboard, RP. Choo-choo. Yeah, I talk to Omar Doman almost every day. Years from now, he's the owner of the BC Lions. That's in Vancouver. Eric is a BC Lions. Years from now, it's one of those things where we will look back and go, how did you guys meet? How'd you guys get to be friends? You know, we don't know. Pausing the discussion for a lively overtime when we come back here on Game Plus Streaming, YouTube Live, Podcast, WQVZ, and Silver State Sports.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, talking sports and having a lot of fun doing it. This is the overtime segment for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Loved so much our time we spent out there. Spent a lot of time with Tim Hunter, as you can tell. And he's been down at Overtime Hockey Lanes. All the Flames greats go there. Why wouldn't they? It's an amusement park for hockey players. 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. Go down and check it out and see what everybody's raving about. Those commercial breaks are just a pause in our very fun sports discussion. I'm getting into a lot of stories here, which are fine. Like, nobody's getting in trouble yet. I was talking about the Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson debacle and how that all went down. But not shocking to me that Jerry Jones wouldn't recall it the way that it happened. And I'm a Cowboys fan. John in Winnipeg, John Ohm, says, Jimmy Johnson, wow, now there's some wacky ego. Brent in the Bridge City says, yeah, just like Jerry Jones, 2 peas in the pod. See, this was the thing about that Cowboys documentary when it came out on Netflix last summer. If you're a Cowboys fan, you know all this stuff. But I'm going to relate this to something you will all really enjoy. But this, if you read the book, I want to say Boys Will Be Boys, but that was the ESPN book. Whatever the book was on the Cowboys got everybody in trouble. How about the White House? They said that Jimmy Johnson on the team flight home to the Cowboys would pound 12 Heineken. And one time, after a particularly bitter loss, he cut the star receiver on the flight home. Next day, they're on the field of practice. He's like, where is so-and-so? You cut him last night. I did? Yes. Oh, can we get him back? These things do happen. We were coming home from Vancouver, last game of the year. We were missing the playoffs. And I swear to God, zonked out against the window. My guy was beside. We land, and I'm driving him home. My car was at the airport, and he was like, how about that? I'm like, how about what? What just went on the plane for the last 2 hours? I'm like, I was sleeping. He goes, I thought you were faking. No. I didn't partake, but it was like what Jimmy Johnson was doing, but everybody was doing it. Last game of the year, nobody cared. It was just a big old hoedown, literally, and I was asleep. I don't want to know. 902-518-3033. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes that he says, what a great RP show today. I agree with you, Rod. The first hour with you alone is great. I didn't say it was great. I just said I enjoy it. I'm not that big of an egomaniac. But on Wednesdays, for the viewers that are watching in Nevada on television, we do hour 1 on Wednesdays alone, streaming on the Game Plus YouTube channel, our own, where I can be the Larry King of sports. Hello. More and more of these stories are coming out and coming to the surface, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know. Well, I'm not, as you notice, I'm not naming any names yet. Sports update. Serena Williams was victorious in her first professional tennis match since 2022, teaming up with Canadian teenager Victoria Mboko for a doubles win at the Queen's Club Championships. The 44-year-old plays again in the quarterfinals on Thursday. Did you see the interview with Serena? They asked her why at 44 she's playing in this. She goes, I got tired of sitting at home. Now you know why I'm broadcasting NCAA baseball in the summer. Something to do. I was thinking about this last night. It was a very boring game. We won 16-9, and I'm sitting there going, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm doing the game alone. I'm like, what else would I be doing? Knicks fans turned violent across New York City following Monday's loss, with 21 people arrested after a watch party in Bryant Park and several instances of Spurs fans being attacked. Players on both teams condemned the violence as unacceptable. Tell me again why New York is such a tourist destination. Went there in March for 2 Panthers games and came home. I was sick for 2 months afterwards. I'm like, that's God kicking you in the nuts for leaving Florida. No NFL player sold more merchandise last season than Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who claimed the number 1 spot on the NFLPA's year-end top 50 player sales list. Patriots quarterback Drake May, Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, Seahawks wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels rounded out the top 5. Again, Josh Allen, number 1 selling jersey in the NFL last year. Would you have predicted that? I feel like we would. Baseball, Dodgers slugger Freddie Freeman recorded his 25th 100th career hit on Tuesday, making him the 102nd MLB player to reach that milestone. Next among active players is Jose Altuve, who could join Freeman by season's end. He's got 70 to go. Literally, if you're the 102nd player to do it, is it that exclusive at this point? I mean, yes. I mean, none of us have one MLB hit, let alone 2,500. But, yeah, it's significant. It's funny because we've had some stand-up comics here on this show from time to time. And I remember one time I was in Vegas and they were referring to some stand-up comic, named to the top 100 comedians of all time. And I'm like, that's not a real exclusive list. But then you sit down and you look at the list and go, every single one on here is amazing because there are so many. Go look it up, the top 100 comedians of all time. You'll know every single one. You will. So, yeah. I just talked myself into realizing that's a very exclusive list. Way to go, Freddie Freeman, Toronto guy. 902-518-3033. For the people that tune in for all 2 hours, Kevin the Medium makes his return Thursday after 3 weeks in Japan. And I don't have an hour 2 guest, but I feel like we need to ride the hockey wagon till the wheels fall off. So we'll get a hockey person and somebody. I think I know who it'll be. And Vancouver Eric, you might really enjoy it. Robin Winthorst writes in and says, you can't argue with anything Tim Hunter said about Austin Matthews and the Leafs. You nailed it, too, with his body language. He is checked out. Need a Wendell Clark-type captain to right the sinking ship. Well, Gavin McKenna. Put the C on him because he reminds me of Wendell Clark. The scouts will say he's more offensive. Scores more. Not that his manners aren't bad. I don't think anybody can fix it. Anyways, this has been a blast. Thank you, producer Corey. Thank you, Tim Hunter. Thanks, all of you. See you tomorrow on the RP Show.
That